And now, Mr. Austin Scott, my friend from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to say thank you to the people who are testifying here. I'm sorry that I had to step off briefly. I'm on the Armed Services Committee, and we're having a lot of discussions about Afghanistan, as you can imagine. And I know other members are in those meetings as well. So just thank you for understanding what some of the other things going on up here. Mr. Park, you alluded to something that I think is going to be a big part of our debate going forward. And it is the 25 megabits versus 100 megabits. We've got some extremely influential people who have legislation to change the definition from 25 to 100. Could you allude on what you were talking about a little bit more, 0 to 25 versus 25 to 100, and the importance for rural America of keeping it at the 25?
I'm not advocating to keeping it at 25, but my point was that if we had a choice between serving a person with nothing to 25 and improving the speed from 25 to 100, it should absolutely be the former. We do not want to set a policy to hinder some operators and providers to reach currently unserved people from providing 25.
Okay, so one of my concerns is that we watched an extreme population shift from rural America to urban America, and part of that has got to do with industry and jobs. I mean, people are moving closer to where they work, and obviously, if you're manufacturing in the United States today, if you're in any type of industry in the United States today, the access to the internet is just as important as access to water, access to power, access to labor. And so my concern is if you change the definition from 25 to 100, then all of a sudden a lot of people who are already served at that 25 megabits will take precedent over people who currently have little to no service at all. And so I think that's just a definition that we as the Ag Committee, those of us who represent rural America, need to be very careful of, and that it seems like it's not a big change. But when it comes to the money that is set aside for rural America and broadband for rural America, it is going to make a lot of other people eligible for it. And my fear is that it shifts the focus from rural America to areas which are already served with the 25 megabytes a second. But thank you for clarifying that. I think you've got very interesting technology with the blimps. And the tether, is the tether actually, does the tether actually have fiber in it, or are you linking wirelessly to a tower?
Yes, it is tethered by the cable, fiber. So it's fiber. Fiber is connected to the aerostat, and from the aerostat, there is a wireless antenna and radios that is transmitting signals down.
Fair enough. And so, Ms. Prather, you talked about the middle mile. The Ag Committee in the last Farm Bill, we put the language in there to support the middle mile, and that build out. Unfortunately, the Appropriations Committee did not put funding in there for the additional build out of the middle mile. Could you speak to how important it is in the build out of the wholesale infrastructure to rural broadband?
Yes, thank you, Congressman. That's a great question and a very important part that we have not talked about very much today. While it is important to serve those last mile consumers, if you don't have enough backhaul to get it back to the internet at large, you're going to hit a roadblock there, and they're still not going to get that service. And not only that, but allowing companies to build out maybe even a redundant middle mile network can be very beneficial. We actually hopped on to a benefit from another provider through a different program that allowed us to have multiple accesses to different internet presences. We go to Dallas and we go to Austin. So things happen, fibers get cut. If something happens between us and Dallas, all of our traffic can go to Austin. So that is a very important part of the puzzle too.
Well, thank you all for what you're doing. And again, we need to watch the definitional change from 25 to 100. I think that would shift some of the funds that have been set aside for rural America to have that build out to 25 from the truly rural areas to the more metropolitan areas. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield the remainder of my time.